The screen is black, but it's listening. It always is. And in the silence, a lie this expensive makes a very distinct sound. It's the sound of a man who truly believed, for one arrogant moment, that he was alone, that the unblinking eye had finally shut. He was wrong. And this is the sound of his $2 million delusion shattering. Hirages, quem, ideologicamente, atacamos. We attack the liars. The architects of elaborate fictions who believe the system is a stage for their performance. They are who we target. Today, you are the jury. The evidence is the footage, and the verdict is inevitable. This isn't just a story about a fall. It's a story about a calculated descent into greed, a blueprint of fraud, meticulously drafted, yet built on the fatal flaw of assumption. He assumed the camera was off. He assumed his performance was for a private audience of one, the claims adjuster. He never assumed that the silent witness in the corner, the one he'd learned to ignore, was still gathering CCTV receipts. He forgot the first rule of the game. The house always watches. Think about the sheer audacity it takes to look into a lens you believe is dead and still perform. It's a special kind of arrogance. It tells us this wasn't a crime of opportunity. It was a crime of conviction. He was so deep in the lie, he was directing it, even in an empty theater. But the theater wasn't empty. We were there. The honest payer was there. Every business owner, every policyholder who foots the bill for these elaborate scams was in that room with him. We are the silent partners in this crime, the ones who pay the premium. Until we say, show me the footage. The stage was a warehouse loading bay, concrete floor, unforgiving. The kind of place where real accidents leave real marks. He chose his stage well. The time was 3:17 p.m. on a Tuesday, a mundane time for a monumental deceit. His co-star was a standard-issue pallet jack. The prop was a box, light enough for a child to carry, but in his performance, it became a back-breaking burden. He looked around. Not a casual glance, but a methodical scan. A predator checking for witnesses. His eyes passed over the camera, and he dismissed it. The red light was off. The housing was dusty. It was just a piece of dead plastic. Red flag. The final gavel drop of his own fate was the subtle shift of his weight, the deliberate loss of balance. It was too perfect, too cinematic. Real pain is messy, unpredictable. His was choreographed. He hits the ground. There's a grunt, but it's for effect, not from agony. He lies there, not in the stunned silence of genuine injury, but in the patient wait of an actor who has hit his mark. He's waiting for his cue, and right on schedule, a co-worker rounds the corner. The performance intensifies. The writhing begins. The grimaces of supposed agony. This is the moment he sells it. This is the moment the fraud files begin. The claim is filed within days. A torn rotator cuff. A herniated disc. A life, he claims, altered forever. The price tag? $2 million. For a fall that never should have happened. For pain that never was. Hey, this story's stirring up some outrage on your side of the screen, isn't it? If it is, do me a crucial favor. Comment which state you're watching from, and tell me the exact moment that made your blood boil the most in this case. That way, I'll know you're truly connected to our mission. Exposing these fraudsters and bringing justice to light. And listen to this. 96.3% of the people following these investigations still aren't subscribed to the channel. If you're not part of that group, I'm inviting you to subscribe right now. It's completely free, and you'll keep getting the most explosive stories of fraudsters being exposed straight to your feed. Also, remember, at the end of this video, you'll find even more shocking cases waiting for you on your screen. The claim lands on the desk of a seasoned adjuster with the weight of a $2 million question. The paperwork is a masterpiece of medical terminology and calculated suffering. It paints a picture of a dedicated worker, brought down by a moment of corporate negligence. But experienced adjusters don't just read forms, they read stories. And this one had a plot hole you could drive a truck through. The initial medical report, filed just hours after the accident, described excruciating, movement-debilitating pain. Yet, the timeline from the warehouse to the clinic was a swift 45 minutes. There was no ambulance call from the scene. He was driven. Proof before hype. The first red flag was waving, a silent, paper-based siren. This is where the myth of the perfect crime collides with the reality of protocol. The adjuster's request was simple, standard, and for our subject, undoubtedly terrifying. Provide all available security footage from the date of the incident. The warehouse manager, initially skeptical that the old system had captured anything, complied. The system was outdated, yes. It had intermittent issues, but its heart was still beating, recording data onto a loop that hadn't been checked in weeks. This is the crucial pivot point in our fraud files. This is the moment the liar's assumption becomes his liability. The camera wasn't off. It was in a low power state, its recording indicator light inactive, but its internal drive still spinning, a silent witness on life support. Let's pause here and consider the anatomy of this lie. It wasn't spontaneous. The staged fall was the climax, but the setup began days, perhaps weeks prior. Our investigation, piecing together older, fragmented footage, reveals a pattern of behavior. He was studying the camera. On 3 separate occasions in the week leading up to the incident, he is seen looking directly at it, gesturing to a coworker about it. He was establishing its irrelevance. He was conditioning himself and his environment to ignore its presence. This was premeditation. This was a man not stumbling into a crime, but constructing it, brick by arrogant brick. He wasn't just committing fraud, he was curating it. The adjuster, now operating on a deep-seated hunch, does what all true hunters of truth do. They look for what isn't there. They cross-reference. The claim stated the victim was immediately and completely incapacitated. But what about the 5 minutes between the fall and the co-worker's arrival? What did the body do when it believed it was truly, utterly alone? This is the question that leads to the CCTV receipts that break the case wide open. Because the footage from the critical angle, the one that shows his face and upper body clearly after the fall, tells a different story. A story of a man waiting. A man who, after hitting the ground, first checked his watch. The footage doesn't lie. But people do. And in the next section, we will expose the moments he thought were invisible. This is where the performance unravels. The CCTV exposes the truth in the silence between the acts. The camera angle is perfect, almost as if fate itself had positioned it for this very moment. He is on the ground. The initial, dramatic writhing lasts for precisely 12 seconds. Then it stops, abruptly. Like an actor cutting the moment the director yells, "Cut!" But no one yelled cut. He is alone. And in that solitude, his body language shifts from one of agony to one of impatience. He lifts his head, not with the jerky, pained motion of a spinal injury victim, but with a smooth, controlled turn. He looks directly toward the corner where his co-worker will eventually appear. He is not disoriented. He is anticipating his cue. Then, he does the one thing that completely dismantles his $2 million narrative. He checks his watch. A man claiming to be in utter agony, with a torn rotator cuff and searing back pain, does not have the presence of mind, or the physical capability, to perform the precise rotational movement of lifting his arm and bending his elbow to check the time. It is a casual, subconscious gesture that screams a truth his entire body is trying to conceal. He is fine. He is waiting. He is on schedule. This single, unguarded moment is a gavel drop of evidence. It is the proof before hype that separates a genuine accident from a staged fall. But the CCTV receipts aren't finished. The next few frames are a masterclass in deception's decay. Hearing a noise, not his intended coworker, but a forklift in the far distance. He quickly drops his head back to the concrete and resumes a low, performative moan. The switch is instantaneous. It's the reaction of a man caught, not by pain, but by the possibility of being discovered as a fraud. This is no longer about a workplace injury. This is about the preservation of a lie. His entire reality in this moment is built around the perception of others. When he believes he is alone, his body is at ease. The moment he perceives a potential audience, the performance resumes. This is the core of our fraud files. The final damning sequence occurs just before the coworker arrives. He adjusts his position on the hard floor, subtly shifting his weight to a more comfortable posture. A person with the catastrophic spinal injuries he described would be locked in place by muscle spasms and sheer terror of movement. He is not. He is simply a man getting comfortable on a cold, hard stage, waiting for his supporting actor to enter and validate his performance. This is the cold, hard reality of workers' comp myths. It's not about a sudden, desperate grab for cash. It's a patient, calculated, and deeply arrogant betrayal of trust. The trust of his employer, his co-workers, and ultimately, the honest payer. Every one of us who bears the cost of this charade. The stage was set. The actor was ready. But what happens when a second camera, one he never even saw, captures the dress rehearsal? The plot is about to thicken. The initial footage was damning, but in the world of insurance fraud investigations, one camera's perspective is merely an act. To see the entire play, you need the wide shot. And in this case, the wide shot was a revelation. A second camera, mounted high in the opposite corner of the warehouse, primarily tasked with monitoring inventory flow, captured a wider angle. Its lens, unnoticed and never discussed, held the key to proving premeditation. This is the moment we move from strong suspicion to irrefutable proof. This is the CCTV receipt that seals the fate of our $2 million lie. The timeline rewinds to approximately 15 minutes before the staged fall. The wide-angle camera shows our subject not as a victim, but as a director. He is seen walking through the loading bay with his eventual rescuer, the co-worker. There is no audio, but the body language is a conversation in itself. They are not working. They are surveying. Their heads turn in unison towards the primary camera, the one he believed was off. A pointed finger. A nod. This is a reconnaissance mission. This is the red flag that transforms the coworker from a random witness into a potential co-conspirator. The narrative of a solitary, accidental event instantly collapses, replaced by the chilling framework of a conspiracy. He then positions himself near the pallet jack. But he doesn't begin his work immediately. He waits. He loiters. He watches the main entrance, the clock, the rhythm of the warehouse. He is waiting for the stage to clear. He is ensuring his audience will be minimal, and his entrance, when it comes, will be dramatic. This patient, calculated waiting is perhaps more damning than the fall itself. It shows a cold, tactical mind, not a man about to suffer a life-altering trauma. This is the proof before hype that the adjuster needed to escalate this from a disputed claim to a criminal referral. Gavel down. The wheels of justice, slow and meticulous, begin to turn. The moment arrives. The warehouse falls quiet. His accomplice, because we can now use that term, has moved to his predetermined position, out of sight but ready to make his entrance. Our subject takes a deep, visible breath. It's the breath of an actor stepping onto the stage. He grabs the box, the prop. He looks one last time at the dead eye of the primary camera. And then, he executes the staged fall with a rehearsed precision. From the wide angle, its artificiality is even more apparent. The loss of balance is not a natural stumble. It's a controlled drop, a deliberate collapse into a pre-selected clear space on the concrete. He avoids any genuine impact with the heavy pallet jack, guiding his body safely to the floor. This wasn't an accident. It was a tactical maneuver. This is the heart of the scheme. A coordinated lie, captured from two angles. But what happens when the investigator picks up the phone and dials the number of the accomplice? The House of Cards is one confession away from collapse. With the dual-camera CCTV receipts in hand, the case transforms. It is no longer a matter of, he said, the company said. It is now a documented conspiracy. The file is passed from the insurance adjuster to a special investigations unit, and from there, directly to law enforcement. The fraud files have just become a criminal docket. The goal is no longer simply to deny a claim. It is to secure a conviction. This is the transition from financial recovery to legal reckoning, and it begins with the most unpredictable element in any conspiracy, the second person. The accomplice, let's call him David, is brought in for a formal interview. He is not initially treated as a suspect, but as a witness. He is shown the initial footage of the fall. He sticks to the script. He describes hearing a cry, running over, and finding his coworker in terrible pain. He is the reliable narrator of the lie. But then, the investigator changes the frame. He presents the wide-angle footage from 15 minutes prior. The footage of the two of them surveying the scene, of the pointed finger, of the coordinated waiting. The color drains from David's face. The illusion of a seamless performance shatters. He is no longer an actor in a drama. He is a conspirator caught on tape. This is the gavel drop moment in the interrogation room. The investigator doesn't need to yell or make threats. He simply leans forward and delivers the line that breaks the case wide open. We have the proof. The question is, do you want to go down with the ship he built? Or do you want to tell us your side of the story? The proof before hype is undeniable. David, faced with the prospect of becoming a felon for a scheme he didn't even devise, folds. He confesses. He reveals that the mastermind had planned this for weeks, studying the cameras, choosing the perfect time, and promising him a cut of the eventual settlement for playing his part. The staged fall was not an act of desperation. It was a business proposal. The confession is the key that unlocks the entire from claim to conviction arc. With David's statement, law enforcement now has everything they need to pursue charges of conspiracy to commit insurance fraud and grand theft. A warrant is secured. The mastermind is arrested at his home. It is a quiet, procedural reckoning. There are no dramatic chases, only the cold, hard click of handcuffs and the reading of rights. The $2 million lie is now officially a $2 million crime. The courtroom reckonings are imminent. The evidence is irrefutable. 2 cameras, 1 confession. The liar's castle, built on the assumption of a blind spot, has been stormed by reality. But how does the legal system quantify a betrayal this precise? The final price of his arrogance is about to be revealed. The courtroom is not a stage for dramatic performances. It is a place of procedure, of cold facts, and of measured consequences. The CCTV receipts that we have analyzed frame by frame are now state's exhibits. The confession of the accomplice is a sworn deposition. The fraud files are no longer a narrative. They are evidence. The mastermind, who once performed for a camera he thought was blind, now sits in silence, forced to watch his own performance be dissected before a judge. This is the verdict reel. This is where the courtroom reckonings are rendered in the only language that matters, the law. The prosecution's case is a methodical, devastating walkthrough of the evidence we've already seen. They begin with the staged fall, playing it once at normal speed, and then a second time in slow motion, highlighting the controlled nature of the descent, the glance at the watch, the adjustment on the floor. They then present the wide-angle footage, the proof before hype that establishes conspiracy. Each clip is a gavel drop in the mind of the judge. There is no cross-examination that can unravel this. How do you argue with a man's own actions, perfectly preserved? The defense is left with nothing but procedural technicalities and hollow appeals to character, which ring false against the silent, damning testimony of the footage. The mastermind is offered a plea deal. The alternative is a trial and the potential for a much longer sentence. This is the final, crushing weight of the system he tried to cheat. The $2 million dream becomes a nightmare of legal calculus. He pleads guilty. The judge, in pronouncing the sentence, articulates the core principle we defend. He speaks not just of the financial loss to the insurance company, but of the cost to society. He names the honest payer. He talks about increased premiums for businesses, about the erosion of trust, and about the resources wasted on investigating criminal deceit instead of helping legitimate victims. The sentence is not just a punishment, it is a statement. The final gavel drop is real. It echoes in the courtroom. The sentence, 5 years in state prison, followed by 3 years of supervised probation. He is ordered to pay full restitution of the $2 million, plus the investigative and legal costs incurred by the insurance carrier. The financial fantasy he constructed has been inverted. It is now a debt that will follow him for decades, a life sentence of financial obligation. The case code is closed. The verdict reel ends. The liar who thought the camera was off is now a felon whose image is permanently captured in a mugshot. The system worked. But at what cost? And how many more are still performing right now in the blind spots they believe they've found? The story ends here, but the war continues. So, what have we truly witnessed? We didn't just see a man fall. We saw the moment arrogance eclipsed reason. We saw the precise instant a person decided that the rules were for others, that the system was a game to be beaten. Hirges, quem, ideologicamente, atacamos. We attack this ideology of entitlement. This belief that a lie, if told convincingly enough, can become a new truth, but reality always has the final cut. The CCTV exposes everything in the end. This case is a fossil, a preserved specimen of a perfect crime that was, in fact, perfectly imperfect. It serves as a warning to every would-be fraudster calculating their own scheme. You are not as smart as you think you are. The cameras are smarter. The algorithms are smarter. The seasoned adjuster who has seen 100 variations of your performance is infinitely smarter. Your blind spot is their area of expertise. But this is also a call to arms. For the honest payer, this is your evidence. This is your justification for demanding transparency, for supporting rigorous investigation, for rejecting the cynical notion that everyone does it. This is the tangible result of saying, "Show me the footage." This is the victory of proof before hype. Let this verdict reel be a reminder that vigilance is not paranoia, and that demanding proof is not disrespect. It is the very foundation of a system that must remain standing for those who truly need it. The man in this story is now a statistic, a closed fraud file. But his story is not unique. It repeats daily, in different forms, in different industries. The stage changes, but the script is often the same. So we must remain the audience that never sleeps, the jury that is always in session. The gavel is always in your hand. The question is, when will you choose to let it drop?